They called him Light Saber Slim. He had two Shanks, one red, one green. Balanced the force, penitentiary dark lord with powers unseen. Blinded by the light, cell block manifest, making them monsters scream. This is the story. Light Saber Slim. That's right. That's what they called him. He had two Shanks, or should I say two swords. They were roughly the size of this pencil. You know what I mean? Blade-wise, with a handle added. Anyway, dude liked Star Wars. And he decided to permanently put markers on them, red and green. He had one shank red, one shank green. And everybody knew he liked Star Wars, so they call him Light Saber Slim. That's right, Light Saber Slim. He walked around the prison with them two shanks at all times. You know what I mean? And when he did get shaken down and the police took them shanks from him, well, man, you can't take the penitentiary out of the penitentiary, even though you can take the shank out of the shanker. They're going to find a way to get another shank. That's right. If you're in prison and you're going to be who you're going to be, you're going to create yourself another shank. Light Saber Slim, he got himself another shank. He did what most people do. He just went back to the drawing board. They call it like going back to the lab again. That's right, like Dexter's lab, back to the lab again. So he went back to the lab. Every time the people took a shank from him, he just made another shank. Dudes ain't gonna get caught without their shanks. That's like being on the street, being in the game, and getting caught without your iron. You know what I'm talking about. Well, we all know in New Orleans, in Orleans Parish Prison, them dudes don't got shanks because they got heaters. That's right, y'all all know the story. You can look it up. Ain't no place like Louisiana. In Orleans Parish Prison, them dudes got real guns. That's right. But in prison, man, you got to get yourself a shank. So Light Saber Slim did what Light Saber Slim did. I'm going to give it to him. Light Saber Slim, he was creative. You know what I mean? He had a red and a green shank. I seen it. I was in the dorm. I'm like, dang. Dude got a red and green shank. And dude's like, yeah, that's Light Saber Slim. I said, Light Saber Slim, man. He too old to be acting like that. They said, yeah, he been in the penitentiary his whole life. You can take a man out the penitentiary, but you can't take the penitentiary out of man. And so he was backing up paper. They had let him go home, but he was back again in jail. And when he was in jail, he got a parole violation because he was on the streets riding dirty. He went up in the people's restaurant and he was in that bathroom and he had the stall wide open. One pant leg out his pant leg, taking a dump inside one of the people's restaurant. They said one of the workers went in the bathroom to use the bathroom and wash their hand. And he was sitting in the bathroom with the stall busted wide open. Had one pant leg out his pant leg. And he was sitting on the toilet. And he had two shanks on him in the free world. Just like the shanks he had in prison. One red, one green. He was sitting, this wasn't Christmas. He was sitting on the toilet, wide open, one pant leg out his pant leg. He took his shirt off. And all he had on was his shoes and his boxers, had his pants off, hung up. And when the dude went inside to take a leak and saw that, he said he was spooked. So he went and told his manager, and the manager went in there and seen him too. And Light Saber Slim was sitting on that toilet with them shanks like this, just chilling, just dropping a deuce, booting up. And the manager was spooked too. So the manager did what the manager was supposed to do. He went and called the police. The police got there. They walk in the bathroom. Light Saber Slim still dropping a deuce. And the police said, man, what you doing, man? Why you got, me going there? They drew down on him. Well, you know something in prison. If you draw down on somebody, that means you're drawing down on them. Because they draw down on them free people, them guards, them female officers, or them punks. And so he thought them police were drawing down. The dude was institutionalized, Light Saber Slim, man. Like I said, you can take a dude out the penitentiary on parole, but you can't take the penitentiary out of dudes. Some people are just wired differently. They don't want to leave prison. They keep that mentality forever. It never goes away. And that's why we tell these stories on the Pen and the Shank, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube. Ain't nobody else talking about people like Light Saber Slim because they don't want you to know how crazy the people can be in prison. They want you to think that everybody's just some kind of hardcore gangster. Well, how much more gangster can you get than having a shank that's green and red? Answer me that. So the police go in there. They draw down on him. He jumps up on the toilet. He's ready. That's why he was using the bathroom in the free world. In a restaurant, Applebee's, Chili's. I don't know where he was at. He had 2 shanks in the free world. Like some highlighters. One red, one green. What you think the police thought? Dude taking a dump. Most of his clothes off. One pant leg out the pant leg with some highlighters like swords in his hands. Like he's still in prison. You think the police knew that this dude was institutionalized? Or you think when they drew down on him, they said, this dude's just crazy? Anyway, he goes back to prison. He gets back to prison, man. Gets up the road on a parole violation. Man, he can't stop telling that story. Everybody's laughing. They're like, say, Light Saber. He's like, what's that? They said, you had them 2 shanks, huh? Red and the green shank, huh? He was mad when he got back up the road. It took him a while because you got to be on, to get a permanent marker, red and green, different color permanent markers. You got to get on that hobby shop list. To get on the hobby shop list, you got to hustle markers and paint from dudes in the hobby shop so they get you the colors you need. Because you can bring your shanks in there and get your shanks personalized, Dudes might want to engrave their names on their shanks. We live in a different age, Some dudes are coming on in the free world. They ain't getting their old ladies' names tattooed no more. They getting their shanks names tattooed on them, Dudes naming their shanks. I'm telling you, I knew a dude, he had a 45, called it Frankenstein. He was a G, big dude. About his business, been shot multiple times. Had a 45 he called Frankenstein. They had dudes in prison named they Shanks, man. This dude had 2 lightsabers. I don't know if he ever got them tattooed on it, but dudes are coming home getting their shank names tattooed all over themselves. So anyway, he couldn't stop telling the story. So he's back up the road and he's trying to get red and green. He had to settle. I think, man. Dude had like a yellow and like a off blue, light blue, sky blue shank. It never was quite the same, till he got that red and that green paint and he repainted those shanks. One red, one green. Light Saber Slim. Part Jedi, part Sith. Depends on what one he hits you with. Either way, you getting it. And that's how it is in prison. You never know who you're going to run into. What kind of character you're going to run into. You may never forget these people. I won't forget them. 2 Shank Shorty, Light Saber Slim. Buy you butter biscuits. I don't forget these people. You wouldn't forget them neither. There's always time. Man, I meet people in the free world who've been to prison that I wasn't in prison with. Hog Slayer. I tell his story. I'll put a link in the description below. He was from Florida prison. He was illegally running trout line. He had miles and miles of illegal trout line ran. Shooting animals out of season. Taking alligators out of season in Louisiana. He had a 10-year sentence or more. I forgot what it was. You have to go watch my video. Multiple sentences. I worked with him. Hog Slayer. So you don't never know who you're going to run into. And Light Saber Slim was no exception. He had colorful shanks that he called lightsabers. He was off the rocker. He was out of his mind. They put him on a parole violation. They didn't charge him with anything. In Louisiana, man, them cops don't want to write that paperwork up. They send his parole officer in there. Parole violation. They don't have to do nothing. You don't have to go to court or nothing. You just get a parole violation. You got to back up that paper. Depending on how much time you had on parole, 5, 10 years, whatever you have, you back it up. You think Light Saber Slim cared? He probably wanted to go back to prison. Get his 2. He can carry his 2 lightsaber shanks and get him a punk. Eat honey buns and top ramen. Watch Jerry Springer. That's the pinnacle of some dudes' lives. They can't see past that. Institutionalized. And that's what institutionalization does you. If you go in there and you don't find some way to positively reinforce your mind and help you keep your humanity, you can wind up like Light Saber Slim. One red, one green. Ready to stick somebody up. The red one you won't know. Because if you hit them up, it's going to be blood. Unless their skin gets on there or something. I don't know. But the green one, man, it get like Christmas tree. green with Christmas tree red on it, dripping. Merry Christmas. Shank bleeding all over you over there, gusping. Half a honey bun hanging out your mouth. Eating that dude's Snickers. You don't never know what's going to happen. And that's the reality of it. Man, give me a like and subscribe to the Pen and The Shank. Like I said, the most unusual and unique crime and prison channel experience on YouTube. Share this video. Hype it up. Help me build this community. We can do it together. Have an interesting community about crime and prison related topics. I don't know where we're going to go with this. I got all kind of ideas. But for now, Light Saber Slim. Man.